Welcome to Try This at Home, Managing Pain and Stress While Telecommuting. Hi, Tiffanie Kellog here, and I am so excited to be joined by Melinda and Eddy Lugo. Hi, y'all.
Hi, Tiffany.
Glad to have you with us. They actually are the owners of Brandon Pain Management Treatment. Yeah, Brandon Pain Management. No, I'm adding something in there. It's Brandon Pain Treatment Center. And I wrote it down so I get it right, and I still messed it up. Apparently, the stress is getting to me. It's located in Brandon, makes sense, and they've been there for 6 years. And they actually practice a very specialized kind of massage therapy, and it's NeuroSomatic massage therapy. What is that all about?
NST, for those who want to say NST.
Okay.
It's a kind of massage therapy that deals with the root cause of pain symptoms. What very often happens with massage therapists is that they say if you come in with a shoulder pain, they'll just rub the spots that hurt, and that can help, but that might not be a permanent solution. So we use posturology, we use a lot of assessment tools, and we know the anatomy really, really well. So when we treat, it's a long-term solution. It's not a short-term pain relief.
I get that, because I remember I came in and I was like, Melinda, I've got this spot in my here that was bothering me. And she's like rubbing up here. And I'm like, that's not where it's bothering me. But apparently that was where the muscle was being, I don't know what it was.
Sometimes there are trigger points. If you guys want to look up what a trigger point is, and a trigger point will hurt in one place, but the problem is somewhere else. And that's not always easy to figure out. So yeah, we're good at finding those too.
Yeah. Awesome.
So today, you want to introduce what we're going to be talking about, or?
Yeah. So lots of us have had to kind of pivot, switch gears, and start working from home. Some people do that all the time, but for many people, they've had to very rapidly adjust to working life at home. And that presents a whole list of unique challenges, one of which is, okay, your work environment's different, so your body's got to adapt to that. You are now, a lot of us have kids underfoot at home. There's the stress of kind of the uncertainty of what's going on. And so that can manifest in a variety of different ways, among them being pain, among them being elevated levels of stress, fatigue, and anxiety, and so on. So what we wanted to do today was address some of those things and give you some suggestions, some tools of things that you can try at home to help you manage things while we're riding through this unique situation. So one of the first things we wanted to talk about was breathing, and it's something we do automatically, but the way we breathe can really have an impact on the body. Yeah. So Eddy is going to actually talk about that.
Okay.
Cool. Really, the issue is anxiety. And anxiety, like any other injury, will have multiple components to it. There's going to be an emotional part to it, a spiritual part to it. There may be all kinds of different angles to that injury. One of them is going to be anatomical almost always. So that's what we deal with. We help people deal with the anatomical portion of those injuries. When it comes to anxiety, it's not just emotional. Actually, there's a lot of anatomy and physiology involved in anxiety. And one of the things in particular that is pretty easy to take care of by yourself at home is something called hyperoxia. Now, hyperoxia is where you're actually breathing too much oxygen. People mostly imagine that a lot of oxygen is good. It's actually not good. We have to have a balance of CO2 and oxygen. Okay. So if you're breathing too much oxygen, it changes the pH level of your blood, and therefore the blood can no longer transfer the nutrients and the oxygen into the cells. So you're breathing and you're eating food, but you're also starving and you're asphyxiating yourself. Okay. So your brain will literally go nuts because it's not getting enough oxygen and not getting enough sugars. So you will go a little bit crazy, and that's what they call actually an anxiety attack. I've dealt with anxiety attacks for years, and I've learned how to resolve them. I had a 30-year performance career as a musician, and I'd almost have an anxiety attack every time I went out on stage. So you definitely learn how to manage anxiety attacks when you're in that kind of a situation. So what you want to do is you want to balance your CO2 and oxygen levels, and you want to do that as soon as possible. The moment you start to recognize the symptoms of anxiety, which that's the tricky part actually, because once you feel anxious, you have been hyperventilating for a long time, maybe more than an hour. So you got to catch it early.
What are some signs that we're anxious?
So the emotional part is probably the most obvious part. When you start thinking in a way that you're telling yourself that's not quite me, there's something wrong. Maybe I lost patience when I shouldn't have, I snapped at somebody, I can't figure out a certain problem. Those are kind of the early signs of anxiety because your brain is not functioning properly. Again, we're taking the emotional part out of it and we're just talking about the anatomy. Your brain is not functioning properly if it's not getting proper oxygen, proper sugars and nourishment. So you stop thinking correctly, actually. And the moment that starts to happen, that's when you need to act. The reason why is because once that process starts going, it exponentially gets worse. And then it's almost impossible to control. So if you're in a full-blown anxiety attack, do not get into your car. Do not have serious conversations with your wife. Do not talk about discipline with your children. No. You're gonna make some really bad decisions. If you're in a full-blown anxiety attack, you need to lay down and literally let it pass. Just let it pass. But one of the things you can definitely do, forgive me for all the crinkling noise here, you take a paper bag, like a sandwich bag, and make a little hole at the top like that with your fingers. And what you're going to do is you're going to breathe in and out deeply into this bag, ideally laying down in your bed. If you're in your car, I can't stress this enough, pull over. Okay? Pull over because you will get into an accident because of an anxiety attack, right? So the moment you start to feel this, I used to have one of these in my seat next to me because I used to drive a whole lot. Pull over someplace safe and then do this. Ideally at home, laying down, you breathe into the bag. Big breaths because you're going to be hyperventilating and you're going to feel like you can't breathe when you're breathing into that bag. It might actually freak you out a little bit more. So you need to do that with big breaths, laying down, sitting down somewhere safe, and it'll come under control. Your body will actually start to regulate that CO2 oxygen level. You may actually feel like you're going to pass out too. That's your body saying, that's enough. I got to regulate the CO2 oxygen level anyway, so I'm going to pass out so that I can do that without your consciousness bothering me. So that's a simple thing that you can do at home to help with anxiety, catch it early. At the clinic, we would treat muscles for breathing. We would teach you how to breathe properly. All those things are much more complicated, difficult to do by yourself at home, but with our help, we can guide you through that. And if you have regular anxiety, and even to the point where it gets to anxiety attacks, that can be resolved. I no longer get anxiety attacks, and I dealt with it for dozens of years, actually. So it can be resolved with our help in particular. This is bad enough, anxiety is bad enough, but just to show you the extreme case, because of what we're dealing with now with coronavirus, hyperoxia can actually damage the lungs and can actually cause coma. There are studies for this. If you guys want to contact me afterwards, I can point you to the studies that show this. So much so that now in New York, some doctors want to actually stop using ventilators because there's such a high death rate for people that they put on ventilators. There may be other reasons for this, but one of the reasons might be that they're getting the oxygen mix wrong and it's causing hyperoxia. So you already have somebody that has breathing issues. Hyperoxia actually causes breathing issues. It can damage those tissues. It makes it more difficult to breathe, and it will put you in a coma. So God forbid you have a family member that is sick and they're in a coma. If they're on oxygen, you might want to look at this research and show this to your doctor and have your doctor assess whether they really need to be on oxygen or not. There have been cases where they take off the oxygen and the person comes out of a coma. So this is a much more serious thing than just anxiety, although anxiety can put you into a car accident, which is quite dangerous. But that might also help folks, that might have family members that are actually on ventilators or have those kinds of issues. So if you want more information about that, the easiest way is just to contact me afterwards and we'll give you more information about that. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Okay. Did you want to help somebody with?
Yeah. So
before we do that, I just want to let those of you here on the call with us live, if you have any questions, feel free to prop them in the chat box, and I'll ask Melinda and Eddie those as we go through. No questions so far, though, guys. So, Melinda, what were you going to share with us before I so rudely interrupted you?
Oh, no worries. So people ask us, what are some of the things that I can do to treat myself, right? Massage is generally accepted as, safe for most people. We do lots of very in-depth techniques when we work with people here in the clinic, but there are some things you could do at home. And one of the big complaints I hear from friends that are working is, I have, these awful headaches, they just keep piling on. So I'm going to give you a couple of really quick things that you could do to help kind of ward off a headache as it's starting. The first one actually involves your hair. This is why my hair is down, by the way. So for my folks that don't have hair, I can share some other strategies with you. But if you do have hair, what we're going to do is work on relaxing this connective tissue that wraps all the way around your scalp and going down into the neck. So we've got a large swath of connective tissue here, and we do a hair pulling technique here. Now it's not pull this way. What you want to do is you're going to use your fingers almost as a comb, and you're going to kind of scoop in here, and you can use your other hand just to kind of stabilize your head. But you're going to kind of pretend your hand's a comb, and you're going to gradually make a little fist. Okay. And you're going to feel some tension there, and you can give a few seconds, kind of breathe into that. The connective tissue there at the scalp is going to start to relax a bit. You can take this a step further by gradually pulling your hand away from your head, and then even rotating, so kind of twisting at your wrist. And you can hold that for a few seconds. For some people, this is going to be really tight at the very beginning, and if it is, that's okay. You can relax your grip a little bit, but really kind of breathe into it, and you'll start to feel that tissue relaxed. So you'll be able to twist a little bit more or pull away from the scalp a little bit more. What we do, and I use this technique to treat myself all the time, I'll go gradually all the way around my scalp. And I struggled with headaches for many, many years. So I can start to recognize when one is coming on. And I'll just sit on the couch and work on this, especially at the base of my skull. So kind of where my hairline is at the nape of the neck.
I don't have any hair there.
Uh-oh.
My gal shaves it because it's so.
So for you, then I would go just above that, because you've got some there. Even if you go up a little bit higher, that's going to help. You've got muscle that attaches from your shoulder here, your trapezius. For a lot of people, this is really tight, and that muscle attaches here at the back of your head.
Gotcha.
So if you grab that and start to just kind of do a little twist, that's going to start to relieve some of the tension there. And again, you can go all the way around the head, but some of the areas that you're going to feel the tension most concentrated are going to be around your temples here, kind of wrapping all the way around the head to the back of base of the skull. So that's one self-massage strategy that can really help. The next one involves the same general area here. It's your temporalis, and your temporalis is, imagine it's almost like a clamshell shaped muscle, wraps around the ear and just above, so where your temple is. You can feel where it is if you clench down on your teeth.
Oh, okay.
Just a slight bit. You'll feel where that muscle ends. And so it wraps around here. It actually attaches way down here, just below your cheekbone. So when people talk about having TMJ issues, this muscle is one of the muscles that can be involved in that kind of pain pattern. So what we will do, and again, I'm going to brace my head with the opposite hand. I'm going to use a fingertip. I'll use two for this actually. And what I'm going to do is gently press here at that temple, and I'm going to do circles. Just gentle circles here. Again, you can bite down very gently. You don't have to slam down on those teeth. And that'll help you trace where the muscle is. It's pretty large. It takes up a lot of real estate here. And you'll find that there are some areas that are going to be more sensitive than others, especially kind of directly above the ear. You'll feel a little divot here at your temple. For some people, this will present as a headache when that muscle is really active. For some people, it's going to actually present as tooth pain. So, some of us can't get to the dentist right now. Our dentist can only see us in case of emergencies. So if it's in fact this muscle and not the tooth that's affecting you, I mean, that can really go a long way. So those are 2 little tips that you can use to massage and treat yourself. The last thing was your desk. So any questions about the massage here? Okay. So the last thing is the desk. So I'm going to confess here, bad therapist. There have been times where I have been sitting on the couch with my laptop and my head is like this and my shoulders are up like this. Not ideal, especially if you're going to be doing that for a long time. Same thing when you're sitting at your desk. Even if you do have a really great ergonomically correct desk configuration, sitting there for a long time, your body has to adapt to that. And sometimes you're going to start to slouch. Sometimes those shoulders are going to come up really high. You might lean to one side or the other. And your body has to make accommodations for that. And sometimes that'll present as some pain. So one thing that I like to recommend to my patients is that they set an alarm on their phone to go off every hour. And when that alarm goes off, you stand up, you walk around, you look at something else besides the screen, because that can cause some eye pain. You move your body just a little bit. One of my patients said that she said, I know myself, I'm going to hit the snooze or I'm going to turn off that alarm and I'm not going to do it. So I said, okay, what can we do instead? So the idea we came up with was she would set the kitchen timer, because she doesn't work in her kitchen. She works in her home office. So when that alarm goes off, she has to get up and she has to walk. So I thought that was a great strategy. The other one involves a really simple piece of equipment, especially if you're using your laptop or working at an unusual desk configuration. There are these little portable risers that you can use to adjust the height of your desk. You can use it on your lap if you want. You can set it on a table if you want. They tend to be really adjustable. What I can do is I can post the link for that. I can share that. Yeah. We have them here at the office. We use them at our desks. I have one at home, so I've gotten a little better about sitting on the couch and doing work on my laptop. But those are a couple of things. I mean, the big thing is you don't want to be stuck in that one position for a really long time. Our bodies are meant to move. And so sitting there can really, the aches and pains can start to really ramp up.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on the standing desk?
Standing desk, I get a lot of patients say, I have pain when I sit. So if I get a standing desk, I'll feel better. Not usually the case.
No?
Because whatever problem they're having sitting, they're also going to have a similar problem standing. And they can sometimes set it up properly when they're sitting, but when they stand up, they end up looking down. So I help my patients set up a standing desk, because it is a good idea to move up and down, but you got to set it up so that it's appropriate when you're sitting as well as standing. So the way that I help my patients with that is I have them set themselves up like they're working. Try not to fix anything, just sit like you're working, and have somebody in the family, because usually it's at their home or their office, take a picture of them from the side and have them text that picture to me, sitting, then standing, and then I can help them set that up. In more severe cases, I actually will go visit their office or sometimes visit their home and actually help them set up, stuff ergonomically. The idea is, just generally speaking, you want to fight gravity efficiently. So if you're leaning to the side, you're not fighting gravity very efficiently. You're using muscles instead of bones. So you want to stack your bones. So you want to have good posture. You want to keep your ears over your shoulders. And so whether you're standing or sitting, you want to have your bones fight gravity, not muscle. So if I can add something really quick to that.
Go for it.
Something that's very common that people do in their office or in their home office is they'll do funny things with their feet. And you can't see my feet right now, but if you're sitting in a chair, kick your feet out in front of you. And what you'll start to see is that your abdomen and your neck starts to get tight because your body's actually falling back. And if you kick your feet under you, the opposite happens. You start to lean forward, so your back of your neck and your back starts to hurt. So people will do this for hours leaning forward, and they wonder why they get back pain at the computer.
What about when you sit Indian style? That's probably not good either.
Sitting Indian style can be okay. If it's one-sided Indian style, that's a problem. but it means that your hips need some work actually. If you can't sit comfortably with both feet on the ground and with a good posture, that means that there's something going on with your hips. So even sitting Indian style, what I usually see, this is not always the case, is that people will round their back when they sit Indian style. If you have good posture, sitting Indian style is perfectly fine. Most people don't do that. They actually round their back.
Now I'm gonna have to pay attention because I sit Indian style like all the time. I very rarely sit with my feet on the floor. That's not very adult of me, I guess.
Well, it could be that your chair is too high, and so they actually make stools designed for office chairs. And so you got to set up your stool and your computer and your monitor, and then your feet don't touch the ground, and you feel uncomfortable. So the reason why you want your feet flat on the stool or the ground is because that will support your back.
Gotcha.
If you have your feet crossed, or if you have your feet doing something funny, your back is going to curve one way or the other. Some people will do the 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Yeah. That means that their hips are doing this, and they're trying to fix it. So this is a sign that something's going on.
They're trying really hard.
Yeah.
We're screwed.
We're here to help. That's what we do. Something else that we can do is with Zoom calls. Again, we're offering free Zoom calls for now for 15 minutes to kind of try to help people at home help themselves. We can show you stretches, for example. If you tell me what the pattern is, or I sit or stand in this position and it causes pain, I might be able to figure out what the problem is. And I can show you not only self-massage, but I can also show you how to stretch that so that you can manage that until you can get into the clinic and have us help you for the permanent solution.
Right.
So, cool. Yeah.
So if you're out there in internet world, I know you're there. We've got lurkers right now. They're enjoying themselves. I'm assuming, but they're not commenting. They're like, oh yeah, they told her no Indian style. I'm not going to tell them the bad thing I'm doing.
It's not that it's wrong. It's just that you're trying to fix something.
It's just better.
Yep, your body's trying to solve a problem, right? It's presented with a challenge, and so your body said, hey, I'm going to sit this way because that helps me address whatever that is and make me comfortable.
It's amazing what the human body does.
It really is.
It's incredible.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah.
It has its own sense of symmetry as well. Part of what we do as neurosomatic therapists is we use posturology to assess and treat people. And the simple explanation of what that is that your body wants to be efficient, and it's trying to be efficient. It's trying to do whatever job you're asking it to do, even if that job is sitting at a computer. I get a lot of construction guys that have their arms up and twisting all day long, and carrying heavy things all day long. There's a healthy way to do that kind of stuff. But professional sports teams, they have massage therapists, chiropractors, and a whole staff of health and wellness people that help manage their bodies because they use their bodies at such a high level. Right. Construction guy does that too. Construction guy probably does worse things to his body than a basketball player does. So they, construction people that use their bodies and their arms a lot at work and their legs a lot at work, they need our help to find a permanent solution to their pain. I just want to mention very quickly, because pain is a big topic here. Right. Pain is not a bad thing.
I know that sounds counterintuitive.
It's totally counterintuitive, I know. There is a very rare disease, and I can't think of the name of it, where people are born without a sense of pain. They live about 25 years. Their lifespan is 25 years. And they have to constantly have people around them because they can give themselves a little bit of a cut, and they will bleed to death from that cut because they didn't realize, and it won't stop bleeding. Your brain needs pain as a signal to tell it what it needs to heal, where the coagulants need to go so you can stop the bleeding, for example. So pain is a good thing. Without pain, you can't heal. Now, think about what that means. You have a pain, and you're taking a painkiller. Now your brain no longer knows where the injury is. And so that part, wherever that pain is happening, your brain is no longer healing that, and that's going to get worse and worse and worse. So we resolve pain, but more importantly, we resolve what's causing the pain, the issue that's actually causing the pain. And then we help our patients actually manage whatever it is that they need to do so that that pain doesn't come back. In other words, stretch or change the way you're doing a certain job, or warm up before you do your job, or whatever it may be, have proper posture. That's the idea. The issue is not pain. So if you're taking a pain medication, let's say every day, for example, you are destroying soft tissues. Soft tissues do not regenerate for the most part. Muscle does, connective tissue to the muscle does to some degree, but when you're talking about joints, they do not regenerate. We stop growing at 25. So from 25 until you're 100 and something years old and you pass away, your soft tissue is degenerating slowly. When you hurt yourself, you're degenerating it too quickly. And so you're going to end up with joint replacement surgery, right? Hip replacement, ankle replacement, knee replacement. Those surgeries, if you look up the research, if you get one hip replaced, the research shows very clearly you're going to need the other one replaced very soon. Part of the reason why is because the surgery fixes one problem, but can also cause another problem. So better to take care of that early on so that you don't need the surgery at all. Most people who are addicted to opiates today are post-surgery. Not pre-surgery, post-surgery. That means they had a terrible pain, so bad they decided to have surgery. The surgery didn't work or caused another issue, and now the only solution they have is drugs. And so the doctor eventually cuts them off because the pain doesn't go away, right? Remember, they're destroying soft tissue. The pain doesn't go away, and so they have to go to the street and buy heroin, essentially. They get hooked on opiates because there's no solution to the pain. We can, even in those extreme cases, we can also help those folks. We prefer to catch it way early on because it's a much simpler solution. But even somebody that's in a chronic pain situation like that, we can get them to the point, and I'm saying this with confidence because I've done it, we can get them to the point where they no longer need the painkillers at all. So that's a pretty powerful idea that somebody could be ruining their lives with an addiction that they don't need to have, that they shouldn't have in the first place. So.
Anything else? We just have a minute or so left. Anything else you want to share with us before we wrap up? I know you mentioned that you're doing free Zoom calls. How do we get in touch with you for those?
Yeah, so for the Zoom calls, you can either you can request an appointment through our website, which is brandonptc.com. You can always call our office. Our number is 813-820-3030. Or you can email us at info@brandonptc.com. However you choose to reach out to us, one of our therapists will contact you. We'll set up a time. And we can, we'll have that 15-minute, we'll have that chat, see what we can do to help problem solve, ways to help you.
If you go to brandonptc.com, that's our website, you're going to get more information about what we talked about, and all our contact information is there as well.
Yeah.
Well, Rose said, great tips. I'll be working on my posture today, and we should all have our brown paper bags ready these days. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and practical tips that we can apply.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys so very much. Thanks everybody for popping on, and we'll see you for the next interview hopefully soon. Bye.
Awesome.
Have a great day.